Today we're going to make cinnamon biscottis. They're really easy biscottis, and also with the cinnamon and the sugar, they're so good in fall and winter with a cup of tea or a nice cup of coffee. So we start with the 2.5 cups of flour and about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, sorry, and about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then we take about 1 teaspoon of cinnamon with about 2 tablespoons of sugar. I mix them together. We're going to use them later. So this is one, forget about it. So now we're going to mix this one. Mix the flour with the cinnamon. And if you like cinnamon really good, you can add 3 teaspoons of cinnamon. But trust me, by the time we finish, you're going to taste the flavor of the cinnamon. So you mixed all the dry ingredient together, and now we're going to mix the wet ingredient together. Now we're going to mix the wet ingredient. So we have 1 cup of sugar, about 6 tablespoons of butter, and unsalted butter, and now we're going to mix them together. Now we have our wet ingredient. We're going to start the dry ingredient about half a cup at a time. As you see, at this stage, it's still not very mixed. I found it's very practical for me at this point to use my hand. Now you have like a sticky dough. This dough, we're going to form them into 2 logs and then put them in the fridge for about 10 minutes. Just do it like this. We're going to form the logs. And what I do, I put them in the fridge on the baking cookie sheet over parchment. This way they're ready from the fridge for the oven. So another log. What I like about biscotti is that they are a cookie that they can keep for a long time. And usually when I make them, I put them for my daughter in her lunch bag. And usually when I do that, she loves me more. So I kind of, buy the love of your kids or your spouse. So now we're going to put them in the fridge for about 10 minutes. You take the logs out of the fridge. We have 1 egg that I mixed it with 1 tablespoon of water, and we're going to we're going to spread the egg wash over the logs, and then we're going to bake it for 40 to 50 minutes in a 325 oven. Okay, so we took the logs out of the oven after we baked it for 40. In my oven it was 45 minutes. See that you push them, they're hard. They're not really hard, but just a little bit harder. They may have some resistance to your fingers. Now we have to leave them to cool down for about 15 minutes, and then we come to cut them. So we allow the logs, after we bake them for 40 minutes, to cool down for 15-20 minutes. It's really up to you, but they have to cool down. And now we can cut them. So the way you cut them, it shapes the biscottis. We can cut them straight, so like this, and gently, and you have to use serrated knife if you don't want to crumble them. So that's straight, and we have this nice shape. You place them on a cookie sheet, and I like to line my cookie sheet with the parchment paper just because I hate doing dishes. So that's one design. Okay, or you can cut them at diagonal 45. So we'll do it this way. One tip, by the way, this is my chopping board, the one I chop my vegetables and everything. Make sure when you're cutting your biscottis or your dessert, you already cleaned it or away from the area you cut your garlic and onion. Otherwise, you're going to have very interesting biscotti. So diagonal, so we do like this. And the design and the size of the biscotti can get bigger. So it's really up to you how you want to do them. You see how this one much bigger and different design. So we cut the biscottis, and you see I cut them this shape. So now, if you remember at the beginning of the video, I said like we save about 1 teaspoon of cinnamon with 2 or 3 tablespoons of sugar. I mix them together, and now you sprinkle the biscottis, and that's what's going to make it taste fabulous with your tea or coffee. Now after we sprinkle them, we're going to bake them again for our same temperature, 325 for 15 minutes. You take them out and you let them cool completely. I mean, nothing wrong if you want to try some, but you will burn your finger, you lose your taste bud. So you let them cool down, they harden as they cool, and then you can put them in a container or a Ziploc bag, and they will last for 2 weeks, but they don't have to. They never last more than 2 days in my home. It's a favorite in my home. So again, they can last 2 weeks, but they don't have to. So now we'll put them back in the oven. Biscottis are cold. You can now put them in a Ziploc bag or a tight covered container. They can stay for 2 weeks, and they're nice and hard. You can dip them in tea, and like I said, they can stay for 2 weeks, but they don't have to. Enjoy.